How to be less of a coward? When you are cowardly, it is bad for you. Why? Because you are scared of many situations, you are scared of many people. When I was a child, I used to be a piece of shit. When something scary was taking place, I was a coward and I could not counteract those scary activities, which was very bad and very shameful for me because it was involving, for example, my relatives. And I was supposed, as a small man, young man, to protect them, but I didn't. I failed. And I felt very ashamed. Because of this, I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna do something about that. It was not that easy, but I think I found a path at a very young age how to become less of a coward. What was going on in the past is that I started doing wushu, the ancient martial arts of China. And I was about maybe 7 years old, and I was going to those classes. However, I was very scared, and eventually I made my parents kind of terminate my membership at this wushu section or whatever it was. So, but I was doing martial arts when I was 7 years old. So, I feel like this is one of those key elements that helps you overcome cowardice. Later in life, when I was a teenager, when I was a university student, I was doing sports such as swimming on a constant basis when I was a teenager, and in school, things like that, whatever, in high school, middle school, I was swimming a lot. So that was helping against cowardice a little bit, so because I was becoming more athletic, stronger, faster, and then I was able to deal with various situations in a more efficient fashion, right? So, however, I was still a coward. So then I started lifting in addition to swimming in my university career. But I remember I was still a coward. It was a little bit less cowardice, but when something scary was showing up, I was not quite able to face it and deal with this. So then I got to the graduate school and I continued doing swimming, lifting. I started running as well. So it was more like a triathlon kind of like training type. But I was still a coward, but less of that because I was able to move from Europe to the US of A. And it's quite a scary step to take, so it kind of like develops your courage. What is cowardice? Cowardice is when you see something scary and you evade it, you hide from that, you run away from that, you don't do that scary thing, or you don't deal with it. Proverbial scary person and whatnot, right? Just fill in the blank. What is courage, on the other hand? Courage is, I heard this definition somewhere, that's not mine, but it stuck with me. It is when you are still afraid and scared of something, but you do that, right? So you do that scary thing. And I decided to finally master this situation or attempt to master that. So because I tried many approaches and then lots of them were kind of helpful in terms of becoming less of a coward, but they were not like quite ultimately helpful, I would say. And they were helpful to some extent, right? Such as like doing sports a lot. So then I started doing something different. It was still a sport, but it was a competitive sport, right? So what was that sport? That was martial arts, as you guessed. Martial arts later in life. When I turned, I think it was about 28 years old, I started doing jiu-jitsu finally in the US of A. So jiu-jitsu is quite a contact sport. You need to deal with a person to practice that sport, and the point is to apply various chokes against one another and or what's it called? Joint locks, or maybe achieve some sort of dominant positions, right? So that's what Jiu-Jitsu is about, generally in my terms. So, and then it basically involves fighting, right, in a specific fashion against another person, which is much more scary, in my opinion, than, for example, just lifting weights at the gym, right? So that's when you have some iron, so to speak, against you that you need to pump, and yourself, right? So, and there are like no other people to lift off your chest when you try to escape the mount or side control in Jiu-Jitsu. So, I think that helped me, right? So because I decided to continue with Jiu-Jitsu firmly, I was practicing that for the first time consistently in my life. So it was just about 2 days a week schedule, Tuesday, Thursday for 1 hour each day. And I became less of a coward, I would say, because I could recall that when I was encountering various challenging and scary situations, I was able to at least run away less from them. I was able to evade them less. I was more willing and I was more able to take on different challenging and scary situations and deal with them. And thus I'm very grateful for Jiu-Jitsu. So what was my next step in the evolution? My next step was to get more into the sport of martial arts by including other martial arts sports, such as, for example, kickboxing, right? So that was my next stage, and then I started just with the bag class of kickboxing. So that helped me, because it helped me the confidence that I can now strike, right? Even though it is a bag, not a real person to strike, and that helped me become even less of a coward. So what was the next step in the evolution? Next step in the evolution is to involve the striking classes with a partner. That's when you need to kind of like touch spar or technically spar with a partner of some sort, right? So this kind of gonna be more challenging, of course, than a bag class, because you don't hit a bag, you work with the person, and you maybe slightly hit them, right, according to the coach's instructions. So that person moves, that person strikes back as opposed to a bag, and then this is a much more scary situation to me. But the more I encounter the scary situation, the better I become at handling my cowardice and fears in general. Okay, so that being said, this summer I'm trying to finally become consistent in touch spar training or technical sparring with another person. So which is what I'm going to be doing in my case, Tuesdays, Thursdays in the evening. So it is just a touch spar, technical sparring session with a partner, followed by a bag class. So this is a pretty nice double training session in my opinion. So I'm really hopeful that it's going to be kind of helpful in terms of conquering my cowardice a little bit more. So maybe thanks be to Jiu-Jitsu, the cowardice was improved by 25%, right? So then thanks be to the sparring, it will be improved by maybe 20 more percent, right? So just hypothetically speaking. So then next, what else was I doing? Last academic year I was able to introduce wrestling into my life. So that's another scary sport because you need to fight kind of in a wrestling scenario with another person standing up. So this is much more scary than Jiu-Jitsu when you just need to lie on the mat, right? And of course move around. So that's gonna be, that was a very successful, very satisfying element because wrestling was scary to me, especially the first few sessions, but then I was always overcoming this fear of showing up for the wrestling training session, and I became in general better at handling my fears, thanks be now to the sport of wrestling, right? So that's how I was progressing in the sport of MMA in general, because I think that I can call it the sport of MMA since various sports are practiced, right? And then they are included into the MMA. So let's just call the practice of practicing various martial arts the sport of MMA, at least in my terms, Oleg's terms. You might have different terms or the world, but we'll just go with that for the ease of communication. So what's next? Next will be a special project. So now it is June 2025 and I'm going to get into the sport of MMA, right? So this is going to be just a Saturday class which goes for about a couple hours and I'm going to give it a try this month of June. So it's kind of expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it considering that it's going to be happening only once a week, drop-in classes, and one drop-in class will cost about $25. So this is not too expensive, I would say, as opposed to like practicing that 3 days a week. So who knows, maybe I'll be able to make more money and evolve to practicing MMA couple times a week, for example, or 3 times a week, whatever. So, but right now I'm looking at only one session, Saturday morning, get it done, conquer my fears, but maybe extra 20% or 30%, who knows, and then I will report back to you. So, that being said, I have a bonus point for you. So bonus point doesn't necessarily require incessant fighting, right? So to become less of a coward, it could be mental. What do I mean by that? So these are, in my case, heavy, difficult conversations with your friends, family, and people around you. So what was happening over the past, I would say, year is that there were several conversations which kind of started last summer, but I've been postponing to resolve them for about a year. And then I could feel, just like they said in the Daredevil new series, it is eating and eating you. So that's what was happening to me. Those thoughts of the unresolved conversations, heavy conversations, difficult, challenging, scary ones, were eating and eating me. Until today, for example, I just decided to give it a try and resolve them. So I started talking to those people in a chat form, at least, right? Then I'm gonna call them to resolve those difficult situations which emerged between those people and I, or among those people and I, things like that. So yeah, basically I'm gonna have now, tonight later, I'm gonna have a difficult phone conversation with one of the people with whom I need to resolve scary, challenging stuff, right? And that's what will help me become less of a coward. And of course, it will be beneficial for all the parties, right, that are involved, because we will be able to resolve a challenging, scary situation, which had to be addressed quite some time ago, to be honest. But because of my cowardice, I was not able to address it in a timely fashion. Now is my chance just to get it done and become less of a coward through mental measures. So think about it, try it, include it into your armamentarium. Maybe it's going to be something else that you can practice and become less of a coward. Let us know in the comments below. As usual, we are supporting you, we are believing in you, and we wish you a great success in conquering your cowardice. Great success. Keep hacking the life.